The COSAFA Cup tournament kicks off in South Africa on Sunday. Coaches of participating teams are upbeat that their teams will emerge victorious. Match points are down with the former Bafana captain who says the competition will be a good platform for young players to showcase their talent. Welcome to the program that brings you African sports news, action, features and highlights from the continent and beyond. This is Match Point in our Mahe Mutwa. Also coming up in this week's edition, 800 meters Olympic champion David Rudisha prepares to reclaim the global title at the IAAF World Championships in Beijing. And teams from around the continent converge in Abuja, Nigeria for the annual Polo tournament. Well, now, after nearly a year battling a nagging knee injury, Olympic gold medalist in the 800 meters David Rudisha has fully recovered and has shaped his season towards the World Championships in Beijing, China. CCTV's Sadiq Shaban with this exclusive report.
The long legs have become a signature trademark that sprinted to the fastest time in the history of the race, 1:40.91 at the 2012 Olympic Games in London. And after a turbulent 18 months, the champion has had a good start to his season so far.
I went back to Australia and ran for 800 meters, which I ran the first one 1:45 and the second one 1:44. And that was the beginning of March, and actually that was what we were looking for.
David Rudisha, the former world champion, is keen on a progressive approach to the season while avoiding a major showdown with his competitors in the 800 meters.
This time I'm starting with a little bit unusual race, that is 600 meters. So I just want to test my speed a little bit, and I'm looking forward for something like 1:13 or better than that. So because it's going to be my first competition, main competition this season.
His coach is also keen on ensuring that Rudisha handles the much-anticipated return to the global stage with measured expectation while keeping a closer eye on his build-up races.
David has learned to handle pressure. I mean, there was pressure going into 2012. I mean, he was the world record holder and the world champion going into the Olympics in London. And so he knows what pressure is all about.
David Rudisha was beaten by Nigel Amos of Botswana during the 2014 Commonwealth Games, but he will be looking to avoid a repeat performance in Beijing, a place that is so close to his heart.
I love to be back to Beijing. Simply, one is because it's where I actually started, my journey in athletics, and it's quite really warm. And what I liked about China, when we were there. There's nothing that makes athletes feel so good and warm in any competition when you see the track is fully, filled up, with spectators, and they cheer without any discrimination, and that's what makes, athletes feel warm, and we like about that because we know we have a lot of supporters who like sports.
For a man who once set 2 world records within 1 week, it would appear that nothing is out of his reach this season. The last time David Rudisha was in China was in 2006 as a junior athlete, where he won gold in 800 meters. 9 years later, 3 world records of 800 meters and an Olympic gold medal. David Rudisha hopes to return to China to make yet another emphatic statement during the World Championships in athletics. Sadiq Shaban, CCTV, E10, Kenya.
Right now, joining us live and exclusively from Eldoret, we are joined by the 800 meters world and Olympic record holder David Rudisha. David, thank you for joining us. You've said that you want to come back to competition at Lausanne in July. Just tell us how your training is coming along.
Well, my training has been really good. This year at least I'm happy that our progress has been very good. And so far we have done quite good training, and we are looking forward for the main season, in which I'm starting my first appearance in Europe in Ostrava, and I'll be running 600 meters.
All right, David, obviously...
And then from there, I think
All right,
yes,
David, obviously this is, a lot of people have been waiting for your return to the track. Who would you say is going to be one of the biggest threats to you? Is it Mohamed Aman of Ethiopia or Nigel Amos of Botswana?
Well, there's this youngster who are coming up, and you know, for the few years, you know, since 2012 when I had my great year, I've been being challenged by these young upcoming athletes, Nigel Amos from Botswana and Mohamed Aman from Ethiopia. But mostly I don't really like to dwell on these guys, because I only believe in my training, and I can only influence in my training. So I focus more on what I do rather than focusing on the other guys. But I know they are good athletes, and I'm happy because you know, when we have quite a strong field is when even the competition become more quality, and also they help us you know, to keep me and to keep others on our toes.
Okay, David, finally, you mentioned in that story that Beijing holds a very special place in your heart. It's a very special place for you. Can you tell us what exactly is so special about Beijing for you, David?
Well, I really have a good memory of Beijing. You know, that is where I first won my global title, you know, when I was in junior. And I love that place because it's rich with, you know, in cultural and so many other things. But the most and the most important thing is how they, you know, respond and you know, in sports. You know, when I was there was a lot of people who really love sports, and a good example is you can see that the track was completely filled, and they were so you know, warm, welcoming, and they were so friendly, and they are good people. And I love to be back. I love to be back there because I missed 2008 when I got some small problem with my injury again. Which was a little bit disappointing for me, but to go back after 9 years, I think I love it, and that place I know is a nice place, and I like the weather, you know, it's warm, which I like competing in.
All right, David, thank you very much for speaking to us. We do wish you all the best on your return to the track. That was David Rudisha, the world and Olympic champion in the 800 meters, joining us live from Eldoret, speaking about his return to the track in July. Well, staying with athletics, earlier this week we got the confirmation that one of the greatest runners to lace up a pair of running shoes will for sure be retiring. Ethiopian long-distance legend Haile Gebrselassie made it clear that his retirement from professional running was indeed confirmed. However, in an exclusive interview with CCTV's Girum Chala, the man whose impressive career stretches back to the early 90s said he will continue to appear in running events just for ceremonial purposes, and talked us through his successes and regrets.
This one, surely, yes. I don't think, you know, I will not come back like what happened 2010. This is the last one.
Now, what are the most memorable moments over the last 23 years of an excellent career you had?
Thank you very much for your appreciation about, you know, just my achievement. The memorable and unforgettable, you know, the one I did 2000 Sydney. That 10,000 meters, what you know, the most, and I can say, you know, the only one what I achieved because of many reasons. One of the reasons, what you know, I was not so well. I was not well prepared, and the competition between me and Paul Tegar was very close to each other. That is the one.
Will there be anything that you regret in your career? Something that you say, I should have or could have done this the other way?
One of my regret all of my career. I would have been done the Olympic marathon, not in Beijing actually. That was one of my plan was to run the marathon in Olympic. It didn't happen that one.
You regret that?
You can say like that. Yeah, I regret that one.
How did you manage to achieve all of your success? You were once even called the man from another planet. Is it just hard work?
I think most of my achievement, all the achievement what I achieved, it's because of not only hard work, not only discipline, even not only luck. I think the combination of everything. Of course, luck is one of the things has to be there. My background, my family, people, the coach around, and the most important part, the commitment, the discipline, and the hard work. I think all those together brings what I am now.
What's next after retirement? Your agent says you make appearances at races. What exactly does that mean? Will you still run?
Well, actually, this is in our program. Before I went to Manchester, next one it's going to be Glasgow, coming October, and that will happen any time. Actually, this is farewell. It's not doing a race. Just to participate, to attend. When I said just I retired from competition, not from running. I have to run. As I said, running is in my blood. I have to.
But you don't compete anymore.
Yes, I don't compete as an athlete. Means as an elite athlete.
Well, still on Haile's retirement, Olympic marathon silver medalist and 2014 London Marathon champion Wilson Kipsang thinks Gebrselassie made a huge impact in the sport of athletics. Kipsang was in London last week when Haile Gebrselassie made the decision to retire.
He has stayed in the sport for so long. In athletics, he has really, if you try to see the guys he has been running with him, they are no more. But for him, he has really stayed for a very long time, and he has broken more than 26 world records. That is wonderful. For me, Kipsang, I've just broken one. So I'm trying to even maybe try to add 2 or 3, which I think it will be possible. And the races which I've really ran with Haile, I've really seen that despite the fact that he was sometimes having a lot of problems, maybe injury, he's almost aging, you find that still he could fight with the upcoming young athletes.
You're watching Match Point. It's time for us to shift gears from athletics to football. Here's what's coming up after this short break. Teams participating in the COSAFA Cup tournament upbeat ahead of Sunday's kickoff in South Africa. Welcome back. Now, former South African national football team captain Andre Arendse is looking forward to the 2015 edition of the COSAFA Cup. The former Bafana goalkeeper who lifted the cup in 2002 believes that the host nation must not be discounted and that coach Shakes Mashaba has assembled a solid squad capable of seeing off the challenge from the holders Zambia and former 3-time winners Zimbabwe at the tournament in the northwest province of South Africa. CS Duplessis now reports.
South Africa will host the 2015 edition of the COSAFA Cup.
The ball to the keeper.
The tournament kicks off on Sunday the 17th of May in the northwest province of the Rainbow Nation, and former national football captain Andre Arendse believes that Bafana Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba has put together a squad that has the correct balance between youth and experience for South Africa's quarter-final clash against Botswana next Sunday.
Bafana will go into that particular one not knowing too much in terms of, you know, game time in the tournament itself, but they'll be watching Botswana, and they'll know what to have in store for them. They'll know where their dangers lie as well. So Shakes will have an idea of what he wants to do, and of course base his team selection on that particular game.
The former Fulham goalkeeper lifted the trophy in 2002 and feels that the four-time winners and current holders Zambia, as well as the likes of South Africa's neighbour Zimbabwe, will pose the biggest threat at the tournament that many coaches will see as the perfect opportunity to prepare for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifying stages.
There will be some stiff opposition. You mentioned Zimbabwe, of course. Another one is Zambia, also four-time winners. I think that's going to be two of your toughest competitors in this particular one. Let's not write the likes of of Ghana as well. Of course, they are guests in the tournament as well, so come in at the quarter-final stages. So that's some tough opposition for Bafana. But it's going to take a mix of that youth versus, of course, together with the experience. And I believe if Shakes gets that right, I think he'll go all the way. I think he's got the players to do that, to lift that particular trophy this year again.
Arendse, who is still involved in the game as Premier Soccer League team Bidvest Wits goalkeeping coach, says that the tournament will attract a lot of attention from clubs across the African continent, as the event provides managers, scouts and technical teams with an opportunity to assess potential transfer targets for the upcoming league season.
We'll be looking at some players who haven't really been playing at the top level, on the fringes of the game in South African football, and also getting that recognition now, because it presents them with a stage. And I think those young players are going to need a stage, and you know, the COSAFA Cup is a very, very good platform to see these young guys play.
The former Bafana Bafana captain is confident that should the national side get their strategies and game plans together, as well as selecting the right players on the day, they will triumph once again at the COSAFA Cup, a tournament they last won in 2008. CS du Plessis in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Now, Nigeria may have finished second at the 2014 FIFA Under-20 Women's Championships in Canada, but they claimed 2 of the 4 individual titles on offer. Asisat Oshaola was awarded Best Player and Top Goal Scorer. This year, she returns to the North American nation, but as a senior player, as African champions Nigeria take a stab at their first international title in the women's game.
At 20 years old, Asisat Oshaola is already a star among Nigeria's football fans. The striker, who plays for Liverpool Ladies in the UK, joined her teammates in training last week ahead of this year's FIFA Women's World Cup in Canada. This will be Asisat's first senior Women's World Cup.
It's a senior World Cup, and it's going to be quite different from the under-20s and under-17s, you know. Before 2014, I've featured in one World Cup before, but you know, what I have in mind then is always different. But what I have in mind now, if I want to go to a pitch to the pitch to play, is quite different from what I used to have in 2014. You know.
The striker was voted player of the tournament when Nigeria won their 7th continental title in Namibia last year. This form is what many hope she can produce to help Nigeria's quest for a first world title.
Well, yeah, there's no pressure. No pressure. It's just, to me, people will definitely talk. They're the fans. They will definitely talk, and I feel it's normal for them to talk. You know. Yeah. Maybe before I'm always like, oh, I want to go out there to, you know, to give my best. Maybe I always keep myself under pressure. But now I realize football is just about being relaxed. Go out there and enjoy yourself. You know.
Nigeria has been to every World Cup since the inaugural event in 1991. This year they face USA, Sweden and Australia in the group stage. Canada holds special memories for Asisat. In 2014, she won both the Golden Ball and Golden Boot at the Under-20 Championships. Now she returns as a senior player, hoping to emulate that performance.
The dream of every player is to go to a competition and be noticed for good. But you know, sometimes you really have to, like, everyone has a primary role and also a secondary role. The primary role is for us to go to the World Cup and make the nation proud. Then whatever comes after it, whatever comes with it, with the performance and everything, is just a secondary achievement.
She may be one of the most storied Nigerian female players in the last year or so. But Asisat remains focused on one thing, her game on the pitch, and working to make sure she doesn't let down her teammates or country. Celestine Corona, CCTV, in Abuja, Nigeria.
Right now, to elaborate a bit more on that and the state of African women's football, we can now go live to Abuja, Nigeria, where CCTV's Celestine Corona now joins us. Celeste, why exactly is it that we're seeing most of the renowned female football players from the continent and from places like South America, such as Asisat, ending up playing for leagues in the US and the UK?
Well, Maha, it really comes down to development in that part of the game, especially here in Africa. You find a situation where many African countries do not have leagues for women. Now, when you look at the US and the UK, these countries not only have leagues, domestic leagues for the women, they also have continental club competition. I mean, just
well, it seems we have lost the connection with Celeste, who is joining us from Abuja. We will continue to try to get her on the line. Well, moving on to rugby news, Africa's 2 participants registered polar opposite results as the Rugby 7 season draws to a close in the British capital, London. Kenya's 7 squad suffered a miserable start to the day, losing their opener against the hosts England 40-0. Things went from bad to worse with a second loss to Scotland 26-12 to highlight what has been a season to forget for the East African side. They just made it through their final match against Brazil 19-14 this evening. Meanwhile, South Africa started brightly with a 19-0 win against Portugal. An 18-7 result against France was next for the Blitzbokke before losing to Mike Friday's USA 21-12 in their last match of the first day. Well, now up to 20 international polo teams are taking part in an annual tournament at the Guards Polo Club in Abuja, Nigeria, which is geared towards promoting peace and unity in the West African country. This year's edition of the Unity Polo Tournament bears more significance than usual, especially as it comes following the peaceful elections held in Nigeria in March.
Teams from South Africa, Kenya, Egypt and even Argentina joined host Nigeria in Abuja for the tournament with different trophy categories to be won. The event, which was first initiated to promote peace and unity in Nigeria, includes the Guards Challenge Trophy, the Guards Brigade Trophy, the Legislative Shield and the President's Cup.
This year we have 2 motives really. The first and foremost, which is very important to us and all Nigerians, is to celebrate the just concluded peaceful elections that were held in the country. So every year we actually celebrate this tournament to celebrate peace and unity. So this year it's very, very important for us to give a platform to Nigerians and foreign and local bodies that we work with in promoting peace.
With the sport expanding to newer, untested regions, polo players are finding the challenges in participating in the sport quite the steep learning curve.
Just for all the players, not only for me, is you can see like now, the game we have played today is like 2 of our players fall down. And sometimes you can see today my horse break his leg. That is the most challenges we face in polo.
For many in Nigeria, the sport is still seen as a sport exclusively for the wealthy. However, a lack of space has also been blamed for hampering its spread.
The reason why this is not as popular is because for you to keep a horse, you need the facility, you need the knowledge to know how to take care of a horse. And I mean, for instance, in Abuja City, you can't keep horses everywhere, whereas you can kick a ball anywhere and anytime.
With large numbers of pedigree polo players arriving for the tournament, the experience has led to some calling for improvements that could raise the profile of the sport and player standards significantly.
Here they have many good players, but they need to improve a little bit the fields, and they're improving a lot the horses. It will take time, but they have a really good potential because all the players here, they know how to ride horses, and that's the important thing to play good polo.
A total of 56 players and about 300 horses, both local and imported, are involved in the 18 games of the tournament. The organizers hope that publicity created by the tournament will showcase Nigeria's development and peaceful elections worldwide and further unite the nation. Leslie Mirungu, CCTV.
Well, let's go back to our earlier topic. We were talking about women's football from the continent and its development. We were speaking with Celestine Corona, who now joins us once again from Abuja, Nigeria. Celeste, obviously, this is a very big year for women's football. What can you tell us about Africa's chances for their 3 teams at the World Cup in Canada this year?
Well, definitely Nigeria stands out here because you're looking at a team that has gone to all the World Cups, and the best performance they've ever had really is going past the group stages in the 1999 edition, and so they are looking to improve on that. Their experience alone will say that on paper they should be the African team to advance. But then again, many people are saying they're in the group of death. They are facing 2-time champions USA, Sweden, who were 2003 finalists, and Australia in that group. So Group D, group of death, Nigeria is looking like the team that might not go through, but their experience dictates that they should. Then again, you have Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon. These are debutants representing Africa for the first time in this competition, Mahia. There is a lot of expectation that the game has grown in the continent to the level where we can have a debutant go to such a competition and actually proceed to the next round. Now, Cote d'Ivoire will be facing Germany. They are 2-time champions as well. Norway and Thailand, of course, in Group B. And in Group C, Cameroon will be up against defending champions Japan, Switzerland, and Ecuador. When you look at the groups really for the debutants, you're seeing a situation where they stand no chance on paper. But then again, football is played, Mahia, on the pitch. You never know how these teams wake up on that day. And there is a lot of expectation that maybe this time we could actually see at least one African team reaching the next round. Unlike the last time where no team went into the next round, Mahia.
All right, Celeste, women's football will indeed take center stage in July, and we will be watching. That was CCTV's Celestine Corona joining us from Abuja. Well, finally, in a special occasion to mark the Somali Youth Day, teams from the Somali Members of Parliament and the Council of Ministers met for a series of games in Mogadishu. The games that featured in the contest were a football match, 5 players from either side, and a tug-of-war match. The Council of Ministers won 2-1 in the football match. The games were organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports and were intended for public interaction and participation in marking the Somali Youth Day. Officiating the game, President Mohammed scored a penalty.
We are glad both sides showed wonderful display. We are happy with the President's involvement in today's game. This game was intended to bring about interaction between the leaders and the public. I say, Happy Youth Day.
Well, that's it for this edition of Matchpoint. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can send your feedback to matchpoint@cctv.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch on Twitter. The handle is @CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Mahe Mutua. We leave you with this week's Move of the Week.